It was the adventure of a lifetime. Aboard the HMS Beagle, Charles Darwin accompanied the captain as both his travel companion and naturalist on a 5-year voyage from England in 1831. Making their way across the vast and perilous seas, they surveyed the coast of South America and stopped over the Galapagos Islands. Each island was filled with unique creatures and species unheard of in Europe. It was unlike anything they'd ever experienced. There, Darwin noticed the differences between these unique creatures on each island, as well as their indisputable similarities. It was from these observations that Darwin wrote The Origin of Species. The rest is history. A history that we've all heard of. I mean, who hasn't heard of the theory of evolution?
In more times than not, the first time we hear the word Galapagos is usually associated with the word Darwin in biology class. This is how I was first presented with the word, and maybe a few boring National Geographic documentaries, but I love biology, and I knew that the islands existed, and I knew they were real important, but they just never seemed real to me. And so when I heard that the Greene School was going to be traveling to the Galapagos in 2013, I knew that I had to take this chance to make something that seemed so distant a reality and something closer to my life. But I didn't know the extent of how much it would change my perception on the world and on myself.
Before traveling to the Galapagos in Ecuador, I studied the culture, the people, the history, important species of plants and animals, food, pretty much everything that I could possibly look at to get a better understanding of where I would be traveling. But pictures and words on a screen could not prepare me for what I would actually experience there. Immediately when I got off the plane, my senses were bombarded with the sights, the sounds, the smells. I centered this trip around the Galapagos, but the city of Quito in Ecuador was equally amazing. For the first 2 days, we explored the city, visiting the Independence Plaza, the Government Palace, Santo Domingo Monastery, Intinan Museum, La Basilica, and La Iglesia de la Compañía de Jesús. Eating the food, walking down the streets, talking to the locals, the immersion into the city really exposed me to the identity of the country as a whole. That identity is rooted in Catholicism. Every time I looked up at the statue of the Virgin Mary towering over the city, I was reminded of how strong the people believed in their faith, as well as the amount of support they provided each other because of their beliefs. In my small town of Westerly, in the smallest state of the USA, the only stories I hear related to the global community are filled with nothing but negativity. And for a while, I began to think that our world was only filled with hatred. But traveling proved me wrong. To expose myself to a culture where people offered helping hands and kind words rather than fists and curses was eye-opening and beautiful. The culture of Quito gave me a newfound hope in people, but so did the Galapagos. After 2 days in Quito, we got back on the plane to begin our much-anticipated journey to the Galapagos. After a few hours, we finally landed on the island of Baltra, where we would travel by boat to Santa Cruz. Only 30 minutes had passed, and I was kindly greeted by the people, as well as the wildlife. Lying only a few inches away from our boat was a sea lion, completely unafraid of the presence of humans. Although I researched that the animals on the Galapagos had no fear of humans, it was utterly shocking to see it actually happening before my eyes. This happened on each island that we traveled to. Baltra, Santa Cruz, Isabela, San Cristobal. The animals were completely undisturbed by human activity surrounding them. The sea lions, tortoises, pelicans, marine iguanas, penguins, flamingos, lava lizards, every animal coexisted with humans in peace. They both treated each other with respect, and they were able to live in a well-functioning society. To me, that was mind-boggling. And talking to the people about the world in which they lived in made me think even more. It was on the island of Santa Cruz that we visited the Charles Darwin Research Station, whose mission is to promote and conduct research in order to sustain and rehabilitate species endemic to the Galapagos. One of their main focuses are the Galapagos tortoises, which in the past were overexploited for food and oil. Because of this practice, species of tortoises went or nearly went extinct, as was the case of Lonesome George. Lonesome George was the last species of tortoise that came from Pinta Island, and the Charles Darwin Research Station was his final home. Our tour guide, Alejandro, had the opportunity to take care of Lonesome George. He would crack jokes and make us laugh and smile when we toured the station. But when we arrived to George's old living space, the mood changed. It may sound weird, but it was almost as if Alejandro was related to George. His emotional connection was really deep. And to hear someone talk about the natural world with so much love and compassion touched me. It was my belief that to be human is to destroy, to kill everything we lay our hands on. It was my belief that man could not coexist with nature. But after talking to the locals and witnessing their devotion towards caring for the environment and treating the wildlife as if they were their own family, made me realize that the nature of man is not innately destructive. But harmony between man and environment can be achieved. Traveling to the Galapagos made me realize that finding peace through oneself and nature is entirely possible.
The culture, the people, and the wildlife of Ecuador and the Galapagos have really changed my perception on the world. As I journey along through this adventure I call life, searching for who I am along the way, it is my travels that I hold close to my heart. Because it is my travels that shape me into a better community member, a better scholar, a better daughter, a better sister, a better friend, and overall a better person. And I thank the Greene School for giving me this opportunity towards carrying on with my mission for global and self-understanding. It really was the adventure of a lifetime.
Tide comes to get me and pulls me under, won't upset me, I'll go down.